we need to have our energies in different ways. Otherwise, most people have become competent in one way or the other, but if you ask them to do something totally different, they will find themselves totally at loss. This is simply because their energies get directed in one way only. An invocation means you kind of make yourself malleable in such a way that for every different type of action, you need your energies in different parts of your system, and you are able to graduate that, calibrate that in such a way to perform that specific activity. So when I sit here, what we need to do is different from what I was doing when I was walking down here. So this is just calibration using sounds. If we have to know the meaning, it's talking about how birth is sweetness, but death is compassion. It's a relief. We may think death is a terrible thing, but aren't we glad that someday we will die? Suppose we could not die.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, as I stand here before you today, I'm reminded that the wise men and women of 1945 displayed a unique capacity to learn from and act on lessons of history. Shaped by the Great Depression and tempered by the carnage of World War II, they established global order through institutions that would provide security and stability for generations to come. The UN, the IMF, the World Bank, and other organizations were founded to coordinate responses to international challenges and to make crimes against humanity a thing of the past. There can be little doubt that today the scale, scope, and speed of their imagination and efforts have not yet been matched. But future historians will judge these institutions on how they respond to the challenges of today and the challenges we must confront in the future. As global leaders, we seek certainty and familiarity in the rules of the game which dominated the 20th century. But in today's ever-changing world, the dominant contextual characteristic defining our times is extreme uncertainty. It is easy to illustrate this uncertainty by looking at threats we are facing to our economies, our security, and our values.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for all your kind words. I am deeply honored by the trust and confidence Member States have placed in me and determined to be guided by the purposes and principles of the Charter. But first of all, I would like to pay tribute to Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Secretary General, your principled leadership has helped to chart the future of the United Nations. Through the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, through your commitment to peace and security, through your initiative to put human rights at the heart of our work. Under your direction, the world committed to the historic Paris Agreement on climate change and ratified it in record time. I strongly believe this momentum is unstoppable. Dear Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, it is an honor to follow your steps, defending the same values that unite us. Thank you very much.
One of the most modern cities in the richest, most powerful nation on our earth was suffering the same fate as Niamey in the Sahel region of Africa, one of the poorest parts of the world. At the height of the raging storms, one thing has become clear. It does not matter if you are in the richest or poorest part of the world. The awesome power of nature was on display, and we humans came across as the same sad creatures at the mercy of nature. As I watched and listened, along with the rest of the world, it occurred to me that all put together, the SDGs are indeed a worthwhile set of goals for the world. They bear repeating: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, clean water and sanitation, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, coupled up with a...
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Mr. President, Excellencies, the path to peace must be walked with patience. To achieve any purpose with others, be they powers or people, patience is needed. The opposite of patience is impatience, the cause and aggravation of conflict. Someone said that talk is better than war. Listening is even better than talking. We must listen to others more than we listen to ourselves. Hopefully, we know that we are talking about, but others may know what we do not know. We can learn only if we stop talking and listen. We may think we know how others...
Thank you, Mr. President. It is shameful for the United Nations that I must stand before you today. It is shameful that this meeting is even taking place. Jerusalem is the holiest place on earth for the Jewish people. It is the capital of the state of Israel, period. It is a fact that simply cannot be disputed. King David declared Jerusalem the city of the Jewish people 3,000 years ago. The Jewish Bible mentions Jerusalem 660 times. Our prayers recall Jerusalem's holy name over and over again. As our Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, said, and I quote, "Jerusalem is an inseparable part of the history of Israel, of the faith of Israel."
When distinguished leaders came together half a century ago to consign to the past a war that had pitted humanity against itself, the ruins and the smoke from the dying fires were the monument to what should not have been. The United Nations has to reassess its role, redefine its profile, and reshape its structures. It should truly reflect the diversity of our universe and ensure equity among the nations in the exercise of power within the system of international relations in general and the Security Council in particular.
I came from a very low middle class family. My father was a clerk in the forest department, and we were a family of 14 people, my uncles, aunts, their children. We used to live in a small one-room kitchen, and the only person who was the earning member was my father, who used to earn 90 rupees per month at that time. 90 rupees in today's time, if you convert into dollars, is $1.50, not even that. And because we were so populated in this room, we used to bang into each other constantly. Because if we have to go and take out a shirt, somebody has to go and have a bath. So my grandfather used to say, "Beta, this is not banging into each other, this is hugging each other." That's the way he put it across, that how it's all right if we are poor.